Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
It was the finale of a heated season of 90 Day, The Last Resort. And as expected, drama overflowed in every corner of the stage during Tell All, Part 4. This episode brought to light why some of the couples have chosen to part ways, while others struggled to navigate the turbulent waters of their relationships. It felt like a boiling pot where emotions, grudges, misunderstandings, and secrets came bursting forth, leaving viewers hanging on every word and revelation. By the end, tensions had escalated, truths were spilled, and futures were hinted at, leaving everyone wondering what the journey ahead looks like for the cast. The candid discussion was set in motion by the host, Sean, who came prepared to unravel every tangled narrative and lingering question about the relationships we've followed all season long. Let's start with Sophie and Rob's roller coaster of a dynamic. The tension between them is still palpable, even though they are no longer together. Sophie opened up about how she felt different after seemingly innocent moments with Rob, such as their Disneyland trip, where she started feeling conflicted about rekindling the intimacy between them. However, she also emphasized her hesitation, acknowledging that deep down, she recognized continuing with Rob wouldn't be the right choice for her. When Sophie revealed they mutually decided to stop being physically intimate as things became more confusing, it was a moment of clarity that most viewers were waiting for. Rob, while agreeing to halt those interactions, seemed to accept the distance. However, as the panel discussed their relationship, certain underlying frustrations became clear, and it's evident that while Rob is able to look composed on the surface, his dissatisfaction with their fallout lingers. A dramatic bombshell involving Josh's dealings with Sophie added a whole new layer to the storytelling. Josh's notoriously questionable behavior throughout the season reached a new peak in this tell-all. It was revealed that he had slid into Sophie's DMs, not once, but on multiple occasions, and even extended an invite for her to join him in Las Vegas. The panel erupted in astonishment as Josh tried to defend this as being innocent and group-related, but the tone of his messages, littered with fire emojis and flirtatious overtures, spoke otherwise. Sophie, to her credit, admitted that she rebuffed Josh's advances and clarified her intentions. She eventually blocked him, not wanting any association with his ongoing antics and drama. The focus of this portion shifted to Josh attempting damage control, but it was clear to most of the cast, and viewers as well, that his actions often went beyond what could be plausibly excused as harmless. Josh's interactions with Natalie added even more intrigue. One of the most tumultuous heated moments came when Natalie sought clarity about why Josh wouldn't invite her to his home and fully integrate her into his life. What seemed like a logistical question soon unraveled into a bitter confrontation. Josh accused Natalie of attacking his family with defamatory statements and repeatedly used the phrase, "Good luck to your life," in a way that felt dismissive and harsh. When tempers flared, and Josh apologized for his manner of addressing her, it felt more like an act of damage control than genuine remorse. The confessional-style revelations showed a side of Josh that begged deeper scrutiny. Was his apology sincere, or was he simply overwhelmed by being exposed in such a setting? Regardless, Natalie seemed to draw a clear line in the sand, deciding firmly that she and Josh would no longer pursue any sort of relationship. Natalie didn't hold back in her criticisms of Sophie either, which made things even messier. A pivotal moment occurred when Natalie accused Sophie of opening doors for inappropriate encounters. Sophie, in turn, defended herself against claims made online by Natalie, further complicating the factors at play. Sophie took a conscious step towards disassociating herself from both Natalie and Josh, blocking Josh entirely and emphasizing her disinterest in revisiting the drama that surrounded their situations. Still, despite her reasoning, the tension between Sophie and Natalie demonstrates how fragile and intertwined relationships can become when trust is broken amidst a web of mutual connections. Transitioning to Gino, Jasmine, and their particularly complex love triangle that now includes Matt, it was no surprise that this portion brought one of the most shocking revelations of the night. The debated topic, Jasmine being pregnant but expecting a child by another man, consumed much of the tell-all discussion. This was the defining crack in the already fragile foundation of their relationship. Gino expressed raw heartbreak, describing how devastating it was to learn of Jasmine's infidelity, and both parties seemed caught in a blame game of sorts over who was more responsible for the relationship crumbling. Jasmine openly admitted that she believed her situation with Matt was part of her plan to escape certain controlling tendencies from Gino's part of the relationship. However, the accusations and derogatory comments flew across the stage at such a pace that any resolution between the two seems nearly impossible. Matt's part in this story, while limited, was influential enough to act as a catalyst for much of the conflict. Jasmine admitted she felt more drawn toward Matt at certain points during her relationship journey and justified some of her actions as stemming from unsatisfied needs. However, Gino and others on the panel, particularly Rob, responded heatedly, describing the situation as calculated dishonesty. It's worth noting that the discussion reached emotional levels that verged on abusive, with comments turning from critical to outright demeaning. The cascading insults made it difficult for anyone present to foster productive dialogue. The tell-all further underscored how fragile relationships become in the face of deceit and a lack of trust. One of the more introspective moments came when Ariella provided a rare voice of reason. Observing the dynamic among the women in the group, she pointed out that much of the energy in these discussions had been misdirected. It seemed to her that the women were focusing more on who had wronged them instead of recognizing their collective struggles and building solidarity. Her impassioned speech briefly quelled the storm, though the focus soon shifted back to the tangled web of flawed relationships. Ariella's words were important, though, in reflecting the underlying themes of interpersonal connection within the show. While 90 Day, The Last Resort, thrives on the drama and conflict, Ariella reminds us that there's an opportunity for reconciliation and understanding when individuals take responsibility for their actions and nurture empathy toward one another. As the episode reached its final moments, it was clear that the futures of these couples remained fraught with uncertainty. Sophie and Rob made it evident they were no longer interested in reconciliation, their differences too vast to bridge. Josh and Natalie's explosive argument seemed to punctuate their time together with a final, irreparable end. Meanwhile, Gino seemed left in emotional pain, both unable and unwilling to fully process Jasmine's pregnancy revelation. For Jasmine, her focus arguably seemed to be more on justifying her actions rather than finding a path to repair the damage. Thematically, this tell-all gave a deep dive into trust, communication, and the lack thereof, while exposing the vulnerability of these individuals. It highlighted how complex long-term relationships become when historical baggage collides with present insecurities. The prominent use of confessions and group discussions was a powerful tool in pulling apart layers of motivations and grudges. Foreshadowing came heavily into play, with accusations hinting at ongoing unresolved conflicts that may extend beyond this stage of their journey. In the end, the tell-all encapsulated everything fans love about 90 Day, The Last Resort. Raw emotion, heightened drama, and a look at the messiness of human relationships. The cast's experiences acted as both cautionary tales and windows into challenges many couples face. It left us with questions of who, if anyone, might reconcile and whether some wounds were too deep to heal. Most importantly, viewers were left reflecting on their own notions of trust, loyalty, and the lengths people go to in pursuit of love, even when it's clear it may not be enough.